Stop recording video. Button. Hi guys. Swipe up or down to select a custom app. Bottom of screen. Selfie zoom. Zoomed in. Button. Double tap to zoom out. Let me turn this video down. Okay. Let me see. Let me get closer. Face centered. Stop recording video. Selfie zoom. Zoomed in. Button. Double tap to zoom out. One face centered. Face centered. Speech off. Okay. Hi guys. Happy Monday. It's the day after Father's Day. I pray everyone had an amazing Father's Day. And yeah. It's been storming here in Atlanta, like raining off and on. We're supposed to still have rain today and tomorrow. So, anyhow, yep. So it's kind of been slowing me down a little bit. The rain here is like, it's unlike anything that I've experienced before. It pretty much gets really dark and intense and just shuts me down. It's very common to have seasonal depression here, where all these severe and sharp changes in the weather just kind of are off-putting and kind of shut you down and you put you off balance or what have you. So anyway, we did have some sun yesterday. Came out. We've been consistently in the 70s, sometimes 80s, even 90s, but it's just the storms are coming, and they said we're getting the tropical storm from the hurricanes coming from Florida. So that's what's been going on, guys. Today's video is going to be some tips on how to get your credit scores up, and I'm going to in particular tell you about some of my experiences getting my scores up over the years. I'm still wearing my hair to the side. I said I was going to bring it back down. I'm going to go curly this week. So I'm really looking forward to doing that video for you guys so you can see that transition. So definitely be looking out for that video. And I'm still having IT problems, but we're working through it little by little. And I'm getting videos out as fast as I can. All right, all my Hawaiians, mahalo. How are you all doing this morning? It's like almost 1 a.m. in Hawaii right now. And they usually are the ones who are my Be My Eyes volunteers early in the mornings. And anyway, so I love them. So if you're interested in tips on how to get your credit scores up, how to maintain great credit, and resources, then keep watching. Okay, so when I started out with credit, I was in college. I never had a conversation with my parents about credit, about banking accounts, none of it. Like my whole experience with and conversations about credit really was by experience only. I remember the summer before I started college, because I started college at 17. I couldn't get a bank account on my own, so my mom took me to get my first bank account. And even though I had been working since like the end of sophomore year, so I'd had a job, I was getting paychecks, but I would just go to the bank. The checks were written off of to cash my checks, and I basically just had cash. And I used to give my mom money to put to the side for me in a savings account, because that back then I was saving for a car, and then I wanted to buy my own tenor saxophone because I was going to play in the band in college. So, but by the time it was time to go to college, then, that's when she took me to get a bank account. So I got my first debit card and my first checking account. And, that was that. So then what happened? Okay, so college started. I moved onto campus. I lived in the dorms with one of my best friends. And when we would go into the student unions, they would have all these tables set up, and there would be different credit card representatives offering you things like gift cards and, free jackets or tickets to the game, or I mean, whatever. They would give you freebies for you to just apply and try. And so, of course, being broke college kids, why not? Who cares? They're not going to give it to me. That's what you think, and you're not knowing that inquiries, that when you fill that application out and they put your social in the database, it's counting against you. So anyway, so of course I would, if they had something I was interested in, like sometimes they would give you money to use in the bookstore, and I used to like to purchase campus gear. So like the school I went to had sweatsuits and umbrellas and just all kinds of stuff that I like, jackets and pullovers and whatever. So they may say, apply for our credit card and we'll give you a $50 credit to use in the student union, or $50 Visa gift card, or a $50 Walmart card, or whatever. And so I remember Discover was at my school. I remember Sprint was at my school, and somebody else, I want to say Bank of America, I think, was at my school. And I applied for the cards and I got all of them, and I was shocked. And I remember my credit lines were like $500 on each card, and that started my credit. Now, initially, I was doing really well. I had that car accident that I tell you guys about concerning my visual impairment. And so I had started receiving a disability check every month while I was in school, like towards the end of my freshman year, and then all of my sophomore year, I was getting, I think it started out at like maybe $300 or $400 a month. Plus I was a scholarship kid, so I had large refund checks, at the beginning. Well, it took forever to get our refund checks, but let's say somewhere in between September and October, I would get a large refund check, like $4,000, something in the thousands. And then in the spring, I would get another large refund check, maybe somewhere in February or March. And then in between that, I'm getting my monthly disability checks. So that was a lot of money for a 17-year-old, 18-year-old, 19-year-old who went from working, and I would work easily 70 to 90 hours every 2 weeks at the movies. And I worked at Sears in the women's department, so I had 2 jobs at one point. And working that many hours, my checks would only be about 3 something, because I mean, when I started working, minimum wage was $4.25 an hour. So on my main job, I made $4.25, and then probably by the time I had been there like 6 months or 9 months, I got a raise, and I think I went to $4.35 an hour. $4.35 an hour. Okay, so now, and then at my job at Sears in the women's department, I made $6.25 an hour, which I thought was a really big deal. But I only worked maybe 10 to 15 hours a week over there, and most of the time it was like 10 hours, 9, 10 hours. They gave us like 3-hour shifts. It was ridiculous. So that check was like $100 every week. So I went from that, so maybe bringing in $600 a month, working 200 hours a month, right? So I'm working 200 hours a month after tax and all that. I might see $600 or $700 a month. And now I'm in college and I'm getting lump checks, $8,000, $10,000 a year. And then I'm getting my 300 something, maybe 400 a month from disability. So my first 3 credit cards was cool. Now, I didn't know about, don't max your credit cards out, right? I didn't know any of that stuff. I just had my credit cards and I was just buying little, who cares, groceries, school supplies. I traveled with the band in college. So if we went somewhere and I needed something or wanted something, souvenirs, if I wanted to go buy an outfit because I had a boyfriend, I was gonna have a date, or some new heels or whatever it was, I just put it on my credit card. So then what ended up happening is when I would go to the malls, they would have incentives for college students like Express. They would give you a credit card if you were a college student. You just needed to give them, like, what school you went to at the time. Now you give them your school email. But back then it was like, you just check the box, yes, you're a full-time college student. You put what school you went to, and bow, you got a credit card. I want to say it started, my credit limit at Express, I want to say it started at $150 or $250, but I really think it was probably like $150. Okay, so then after let me make sure this is still on.
Speech on. Selfie zoom. Stop recording video. Button. Face centered. Near right edge. Centered. Up. Speech off.
Okay, guys. So I just wanted to make sure I'm still with you. So I want to say that credit card was like $150 credit limit, and then at the time there was a store called Foley's, and Foley's was like the same store as if you had a May Company or Robinson's or Richie's. All of those stores were the same store, and then Macy's came through and bought all of them like years and years later. But so then the next place I ended up getting a credit card was Foley's. And let's say Foley's gave me a credit limit of $300 or $500 at the beginning. And then I ended up getting a Dillard's credit card, department store card. And let's say that card was like, I don't know, I don't even remember. It was between $300 and $700 at Dillard's. So now I went from the 3 credit cards at school. So I had Discover, Bank of America, Sprint, MasterCard, something like that. To now I have like 3 mall credit cards. So now I have 6 credit cards. It wasn't a big deal. Okay, but it was because now I'm like liking this experience. I'm like, ooh, all these stores are giving me their cards, and it's like I don't have to spend my cash money. I can just get stuff and take my time and pay it off however long I want, right? So then I was liking that they were giving me coupons, and when I would go in the student union, it'd be something else that I was wanting, like, oh, we'll give you this if you just apply for the card. And so then next thing you know, I applied for like 2 more credit cards. So before I knew it, I remember I had bought with my Express credit card, I bought this really cute black wallet, and it was like a rectangle shaped wallet, and it folded and snapped shut, and it said Express on the bar on a nameplate at the front of it in silver. And when you opened it, it had like 4 credit card slots on each side. And then, so when you opened it like this, there was 8 cards you could put over here and 8 cards you could put over here. And I remember filling it up. I remember filling it up and feeling so official. And what ended up happening is I got really overwhelmed and sick and tired of those bills coming in, and me constantly giving up my minimum payments, which was eating up my checks. So after a while, I was like, wow, I'm like getting sick of this. Let me start paying some of these cards off. Because now, like, I start getting Victoria's Secret catalogs in the mail. At the time, I didn't know about a Victoria's Secret credit card, but I liked buying stuff from Victoria's Secret, so I'd be charging that stuff on my credit cards too. So anyhow, I got sick of the bills coming in, and I start, saying, I'm going to pay some of this stuff off because I don't like this. And I remember my boyfriend at the time, he would get the cards, spend the $500, never pay them. And they would call, and he would just cuss the people out and hang up. And that ended up biting him, you know, biting him in the butt years later. But anyhow, so I, got sick of it. I started paying my cards off. And then, I would be good for a little while, and then I would start charging them back up. Now, once I stopped going to school, because my neurologist had said, that the stress of school and everything that I had going on was going to cause me to lose more vision and ultimately go completely blind. Once I wasn't going to school anymore, I started what I call retail therapy. So I would just fill my days up with things to do, going back and forth to the mall and different stores and just buying stuff. And not necessarily needing it. I got into couponing a whole bunch. So I would like wait for the ads to come out. All the new grocery store ads would come out like on Wednesdays, and I would sit down in my living room and map out my plan of all the stores I was going to and cut all my coupons out. And I was really just distracting my mind from the obvious of, you're not in school anymore, you're not living your dreams anymore, and what are you going to do about it? And you have no idea what you're going to do about it. So what do you have? What is in your control? And so I just started cooking all the time. I got in cooking clubs. I would watch cooking TV shows. I started getting into couponing a whole bunch. I started shopping all the time. So much so I made friends at the stores. Like, some of my friends I grew up with and were working at Foley's, they'd see me in the mall shopping. I remember there was this girl that I had made friends with. She came to the movies before I stopped working there, and she was with this guy. And I'd be at the mall so much that one day I ran into her at the mall. She happened to work at JCPenney. And she would give me her mall discount in exchange for me giving her, movie tickets, which was cool, because you got so many. When you worked at the movies, you get so many complimentary tickets to share with friends and family. And so I would give her, movie tickets, but it was, anyway, I'm not going to tell y'all the long-winded story about me and her, but it was just cool, the things that resulted from this. But it wasn't cool what was happening to my credit. So now I've been maintaining credit because I turned 18 like a month after school started. Okay, and I got my first credit cards within 7 months after I turned 18. And so by the time I'm 19, I have like at least 7 credit cards, debatably probably 8 credit cards. And now by the time I'm 19, I at least have 8 credit cards. And before my 20th birthday, I'm very sure I had 12 credit cards at least. Probably like 5 or 6 Visa, MasterCard, Discover combinations, and then department stores as well. I even had a Fingerhut credit card. Like, it was just a lot. All right, and so now I'm at the place where I'm getting overwhelmed. I want to do other things with my money. I'm tired of paying these bills. It's not fun anymore, but I like shopping, and I need more income. So I start getting jobs. Well, with visual impairment, with everything that I had going on, I really didn't feel that I had very many options. So the jobs that I would get were like grocery sacking, which was another minimum wage job. I think that job paid me $4 and some change, or maybe $5 and some change an hour, which was helpful because it did allow me to pay my credit cards off, right? Like keep up with the minimum payments, but it didn't put me in a position to really get rid of them. So after I got married, my ex-husband, during our engagement, my ex-husband filed bankruptcy for his debts. And after we got married, because everything was in my name, because I had the quote unquote good credit, because with me having maintained credit for about almost 2 years at that point, of excellent payment history, no delinquencies. I had about a 600 something credit score because I had so many credit cards and such high balances. Even with excellent payment history, it still wasn't giving me the 700 plus credit score I could have had if I would have maintained low balances, right? So at that point, I sought out credit counseling. So, and I had a JCPenney credit card too, guys. So what I ended up doing, I was talking to one of these credit consolidation companies, and they made it where I didn't have to close my accounts, but I could make smaller payments and have less interest being billed monthly so I could get the cards paid off. So I did that. I started that program. That went super good. I was getting my credit cards paid off. Well, this is where the monkey wrench came into play. So as I started paying those cards off one by one, they started doubling and tripling my credit limits. So one of my credit cards was like at 750, it went to 1750. Like another credit card went to 2000. Like all my cards were just like doubling and tripling. And I was like, oh, wow. You know, this is exciting. At the same time, it was tempting. And with two broke people that are married, and at the time, my ex-husband was making minimum wage, which had gone up to about $6 or $7 an hour. So we have like, our rent was like $305 a month, and then his paychecks would be like $2 something a week, right? So, you know, maybe 260, 280, you know, what's $40 times 7, 280, right? Minus tax, you know, 2 something every week. So, you know, what is that? 280, 560. Yeah. So his checks would be like 4 something every 2 weeks, right? So all his money is going to bills, and then all my money is going to everything else. So anything household, I was paying it. Groceries, personal hygiene items, things for the car, maintenance if the car needed tires, oil changes, car washes. I mean, all things outside of the immediate bills. He paid the rent, he paid the electricity, he paid the cable, house phone, like all that stuff like that. He paid that stuff. And then I paid all the other stuff I just mentioned, along with my credit card bills. Because when we furnished our home, we put the majority of it on my credit cards. So like he paid monthly for our furniture. We were able to put like our living room set in layaway for 6 months. And so he paid that and everything else. And I think our dining room table was in that too. So our dining room table and our couches were in layaway. But then when it came to everything else, like pots, pans, silverware, appliances, our bed, our mattress, box spring, our actual bed, dressers, televisions, I'm talking about everything else that was in the house, that stuff was going on my credit cards, right? Because wow, I just got blessed with all these increased lines of credit because I'm paying stuff off, right? So the deal was that we're supposed to be paying these bills together when they come in, but that's not how it worked out. If the money's not going up, but our debts are going up, then you see how that's not going to work. No matter what a person says, oh, we're going to pay, just put it on your credit cards, we'll pay it when it comes in. If their income hasn't increased, then and they don't have any money right now to get it, because that's why we're putting it on the credit cards, what changes when the 30 days? So, you know, I got a job, started, you know, paying, figuring out what I needed to do to get these debts resolved. Then our car broke down, boom. Now we need a car. So now we went to the car lot. The car goes into my name because I am the one with the credit, right? He's filed bankruptcy and he's newly filed bankruptcy, so nobody will give him anything. Now we have a car note, right? So fast forward. So now, you know, we're in this marriage, we're broke. You know, I have like all these credit cards, I have all these high balances, and the marriage doesn't work out, bow, we get a divorce, and I'm still stuck with all these credit cards and all these high balances. Number one, I didn't go to court for the divorce, so I never had an attorney. I never understood anything about our divorce. I just got my paperwork handed to me by my ex-husband, and that's that. So I never had any representation or say so in my divorce whatsoever. For one, I wasn't even in the position to even get an attorney because I had no money. I was just 20, you know, I was very, very young. I had a little 1-year-old baby and a social security check. And I want to say at that time, my social security check might have been like $600 a month. So I was just trying to figure out how I was going to live and be this single mom with the $600. So trying to go to court and spend resources and energy on that was not on my to-do list. So I didn't get to say things like, well, hey, we have acquired all this debt together. You know, can I get some help, or can I have an allotment for that, or nothing? So now I've walked away from, you know, I'm walking away, starting this new life as a single mom, this new life with my child, right? And I have a whole lot of debt. So I ended up meeting this guy that was from Arkansas. Super sweet guy. His name was Michael. And if you end up seeing this video, I miss you so much. And blessings to you. And he is talking to me about he was building his credit, and he was such an entrepreneur. Like, he worked for Verizon at the time. He has such great energy, just a really happy person. And he was like, he gave me this pamphlet for this financial advisor, and he was like, they'll help you with your credit. He was just so like a breath of fresh air. And I remember I took that brochure and I looked at it and I was like, but I was open to it because of my experience in the past at the beginning of my marriage with the credit counseling. So I was like, well, I definitely need some help because I'm not going to have bad credit. You know, I want to get my life together. And when I got my divorce, I was very intentional about healing all aspects of myself. I wanted good finances. I wanted great credit. I wanted to be healthy and whole, and to attract a great person, because I still wanted a personal life and a relationship that worked and thrived, right? And I wanted to have a family, and my daughter to, you know, be proud of me and have things she needs. And so I called the financial advisor company, and the lady's name is Patty. And she and her husband ended up branching off a few years later and doing their own thing. And matter of fact, her name is, their company is Mr. Good Credit. You could probably find them on LinkedIn and let them know VI Life with Kelly sent you. So I talked to Patty. I was telling her what was going on. She's like, oh yeah, we can help you with that. And $500 later, I don't even know if I paid $500. I can't remember. I want to say it was no more than $500. It might have been $300. I don't remember. But I paid them. She told me, you know, send all these different documents. She gave me all this advice. She was like, do not, anything that's older than a year, don't touch it. Don't respond to any letters, notices. Don't make any deals. She's like, we're going to start working on things on your behalf. I told her my whole situation. She gave me advisement down to every last thing. She pulled my credit. She told me what was on there, how many inquiries I had. She told me do not apply for nothing else. Like, she would tell me when to apply for things, what to apply for. So in the meanwhile, I had gone back to school. Okay. So around the time that I met Michael, and I was ready to confront my finances, because even my banking situation was horrifying as well. It was like always bouncing stuff. It was just a mess. And I went back to school. I got all these scholarships again like I used to. And I ended up meeting this really great guy. He was my counselor for school. He helped me like get equipment and things that I needed for visually impaired persons. Like, everything was just coming together full circle so quickly. And anyhow, I started getting all these letters in the mail about like second chance credit cards. And they'd be like, and they were like basically for students. So it would say things like, you know, do you have no credit, bad credit? Like, this won't affect your credit score. Like, it was all these different advertisements like that. And so I'm like, okay, this applies to me. I know I need something to rebuild my credit. Now, through this whole hot mess, this whole hot mess that went on for about 6 years. I was still able to maintain. I still had my Foley's credit card. I still had my Macy's credit card. And I'm trying to think, what other card did I have? I still had like 3 credit cards through all of these years of trial and just ups and downs. And I'm going to tell you how I ended up having those cards. I called Foley's and Macy's at one point and told them how I couldn't afford to pay them. I was going through a divorce. And they put me on a program where I basically had to pay like nothing, maybe like $20 a month or something. And they let me do that for quite a while, like 6 months or 12 months. And they let me do it several different times. It was even a point when I thought I lost my cards, and they will write me letters and say, hey, we can still help you, blah, blah, blah. And I end up still keeping the Foley's and the Macy's, and I'm trying to think what other card. I want to say it was Capital One credit card through the whole ups and downs. So now I'm saying, okay, I need better credit card options. I need credit cards with higher limits and lower interest rates, right? So when I'm at school and I'm getting these letters, advertisements, solicitations in the mail, one of the companies was named Aspire. Excuse me. So I applied for an Aspire credit card. Aspire charged you like $6 a month. It was like some type of membership fee, basically for, you know, accepting you and taking the risk of giving you an unsecured credit card. And then they would graduate you to better options the longer that you had the card. So, you know, you started off paying, I don't know, I'm making it up, $49 for this year for having it. Maybe next year it went down to $29, and then the next year $19, until ultimately you got graduated to a card that didn't have an annual fee, and then your credit score got better, and then your line of credit got higher and higher. So I don't remember what I started with them. I really want to say it was like $350 or $450. But I just remember really quickly it went to like $1,000, then $1,500, and it just kept going. So then when I got that card, then I ended up getting introduced to another card, which was called, I'm trying to think, Liberty Bank. It was a Liberty Bank, and they gave me that card. It was like $250. And then there was a Credit One Bank card. It was like $750 on there. And then there was it was like HBSC card, which is now Capital One. They bought them. And Orchard Bank, that's what it was. And then another card was Orchard Bank. All these credit card limits were between $250 and $750 each. Now, by the time I'm getting all these cards, now I'm working for the IRS. So I'm in school full time. I'm getting large refunds every semester, like $9,000 to $12,000 every single semester, because I'm getting a lot of scholarships. On top of that, I'm working full time for the IRS, so I'm getting my salary every 2 weeks, you know, which is thousands of dollars there as well. So now what I'm doing, because my goal was to jump my score. So when I got that, and I had got a Premier credit card. Now, I really recommend, if you have issues with your credit and you really want to get excellent credit and you really want your scores to jump up fast, get the Premier First credit card. Let me tell you why. Their resources for their online is amazing. They teach you, they show you every single month. You can see your credit score. You can see the reasons why it went up or why it went down. It tells you specifically. It'll show you what your score was last month. It'll show you if it jumped up and down during different times during the month. It teaches you the difference between your due date and your statement date. Like, it taught me so much information actually going on there. When I would log on to pay my bill, these different topics would pop up in my face. That's the only reason why I would read them. I'm like, oh, this is my credit score. And I would get intrigued because it would have the little graph there, and it would tell you, like, wow, your score was 550 last month. Now it's 590. But in the middle of the month, it was 617. Learn why. I'm like, dang, it was 617. Why is it 5? And then it would tell me, because in the middle of the month, my balance was only like $50, and then I went on a shopping spree, and by the time my statement closed, I had maxed my card out. But then the very next day I paid the card off, but it reported to the credit bureau that I had 100% credit utilization. So then I learned, oh, don't buy anything after the 11th or whatever my statement close date was. I'm like, oh, I do all my balling out by the 11th and pay it off on the 11th, and then start over or use a different card during the rest of the month. So then if my other card had a statement close date that was on the 29th, then I won't use the Liberty card after the 11th. I'll use my other card after the 11th and then pay that one by the 29th. So I learned so much stuff about how to jump my score. So when that happened, I had cards I specifically used for lunch. I had cards I specifically used at the mall. I had cards I specifically used at the grocery store. And so my wallet once again was filled up with cards, but it was with a purpose this time, because I wanted my credit better than it had ever been. Now, with that being said, I'm going to school full time. So now I've gotten a bachelor's degree. I went straight into graduate school, finished my master's program, went into a certification program after that. So I'm going to school, acquiring loans on top of all the debt that comes with going to school. I'm working full time, and I've got this revolving credit. So now my credit score has jumped up. Boom. It went from 5 something with like 59 negative or derogatory items on each credit bureau to now I had like maybe 3 inquiries across the board, and I had all these credit cards, like 10 credit cards in rotation, and they're all reporting. Boom, 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 boom. She's on time. She's on time. She's paid in full. Low credit utilization. But I still couldn't get past 700. I was like, wow, what the heck? Why is my score not going up? Well, even though I had 10 credit cards in rotation, it was the type of cards and the credit limits that were keeping me under 700. So now it's not enough that I'm got 10 different credit card companies reporting that I'm paying and I'm in good standing. I needed higher credit card limits. So I started one by one letting these low credit card accounts close. Now, people will tell you, you don't want to close any accounts, just don't use them. But after you don't use them for 6 to 12 months, they close. So I didn't want to wait. I'm like, no, let me just get that out the way, because regardless, what I'm trying to do is going to take me 6 to 12 months. So I'd rather everything hit in 12 months. It'll show, boom, all that stuff is over with. And I have, so all my credit cards that were under $750, I got rid of all of them. And I probably had like 5. Then the credit cards that were just like $750 to $1,000, if they were under $1,500, I got rid of them. Now I just closed everything. Now I was sad to close them, because now they're like my friends. These credit cards were like my friends, you know what I mean? That we had a close bonded relationship, because you helped me get back in the game, right? But I had to say goodbye to them if I wanted more. All right, if I wanted more, I had to let them go. So one by one, I shredded every last credit card, and I was like, bow. Now, once I did that, I start getting better credit card offers. So now Capital One sends me, and the Bank of Delaware end up sending me credit card invitations. You know, we want you to apply for our credit card. Well, the thing that got me to apply for Capital One was the program it was like, we're automatically guaranteeing we're gonna start you at $1,000 or $1,500. I don't remember. And they were like, but after you pay your card on time every month for the next 3 months, we're going to jump it up $500. And then in 6 months, we're going to jump it up $750. And we'll keep doing that every 6 months, or I think it was 5 months, every 5 months that you're paying your bill on time. Okay, then another thing, at the time I had Macy's, I still had a Macy's and a Foley's credit card because they were still two separate stores, right? Well, my Foley's credit card had never really gone up past, I don't know, a certain amount. I can't remember anymore. And I called Foley's and Macy's out of curiosity, like, why have you guys never given me a credit line increase, like whatever. Well, Macy's ended up telling me that they don't automatically give you a credit line increase. You have to call them and just ask for it. And they based it on your payment history. So as long as you had paid your credit card on time, every 3 months you could call and ask for a line increase. So after they told me that, I called every 3 months and they would give me a line increase. I think it would be like $200. I forget how much. And so they finally stopped doing that, but I did that for like 5 years. So it got to the point I didn't even have I got the highest card Macy's has. It's a black card. And you don't even have a credit limit, and you have several lines. Like, you can have a furniture account, a jewelry account, you can have a revolving account. Like, it's so many different. You can have an interest-free 12 months account, 18 months interest-free. Like, there's so many accounts you can have when you have a black card, or the purple card too. I had that too. I have that. Anyway, so you guys. So I started calling the companies, trying to learn their ways, their programs. I got an American Express card. I wanted to understand, because I always thought American Express means you have to pay your full balance every single month. How does American Express work? And then I found out, no, American Express has other products, you know. So, once I let those smaller card lines go, it opened me up to having larger credit limits, larger accounts. Okay, but I still have some bad habits. Let me tell the truth and shame the devil. So with those larger credit lines, you know, I'm shopping. I'm getting a little more heavy-handed. Well, it was okay until life hit and I lost my job in 2008, October of 2008. Now, when I lost my job, that messed me up real good. And even though I was getting unemployment, I expected that I was going to get another job really quickly and making as much or more than what I was making. It actually took me another 1.5 years, maybe almost 2 years, to get another job. That messed me up real good. Okay, now let's keep going past that. Okay, so we're going through life. We're getting, you know, larger credit lines. We're closing small credit lines out. We're learning how our different store cards are working on our behalf. What's the difference between a statement due date and a minimum payment due date, right? A payment due date, a statement due date, and a payment due date. We're learning all these things. We're applying the knowledge. We're keeping our credit utilization low, so that means we're keeping it under 30%. So if we have $1,000 card, we're only spending $300, or at least we're making sure it's under $300 by the time the statement due date rolls around, right? So we're applying the knowledge. I'm still not getting past a 700 credit score. I'm like, what is going on? Why is this not working out for me? So then I ended up enrolling in another credit program. Finally, the person, I was wanting to buy a house, and every time I'm going for a house, they're approving me for a house, but I have so much debt, so much money going all different places, I don't feel comfortable to buy a house until I can get that under control. And I wanted the highest credit score possible so I could get the best interest rate on purchasing my home, right? So I sit down with the credit advisor. This is also the person who's approving me for my mortgage. And they're like, you really need to consolidate these student loans. Now, I had heard that before, but I didn't think anything about it really. I'm just like, no, I don't feel like it. Why do I need to do that? They're like, you really need to consolidate. So I finally said, you know what? This man said this to me. I'm gonna do this just because he said it. I'm just gonna do it. That's the only reason why I did it. I was like, this man said I need to consolidate these loans. I'm just gonna consolidate the loans. I called up the Department of Education. Thankfully, I had been wise enough to get all my student loans with the same company every single year, which was through the Department of Education. I had Nelnet student loans. So when I called them to consolidate, it was so simple. Literally like click, 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 click a couple buttons, and literally they consolidate all 5 million of my loans into one loan. Guess what ended up happening? My score shot up. Why? Because it looked like all those other loans got paid off, and now I only have one loan, and all those 50,000 loans with individual payments was way more than one lump loan with one minimum payment. So immediately shot my credit score up, bow. But I still wasn't satisfied. I was like, what the heck? Okay, I was like right at a 701 or something. I'm like, dang, that's great. My score went up like 30 points, something like that. But I was still annoyed. I'm like, no. So I'm once again going, searching, seeking out, having conversations. And they say, you know, you've never purchased a home. You've never purchased a vehicle. You really need to get an auto loan or some type of large purchase history on your credit report. That's what's going to take you into the 700s and the 800s. I'm like, wow, this is not fair because I don't drive. So getting a car at the time, my daughter was very young, was like pointless. But I knew my mom was going to need a car soon. So I was like, you know what? When my mom wants to get a car this time, I'm going to get it in my name so that I can reap the benefit and finally get past the 700s, because is that what it's really going to take? So what I started doing at that time, because my mom was not interested in car loans at the time, I went and got personal loans. And so now I went and got personal loans like $5,000 and $10,000 with no intentions of spending the money at all. The only thing was to just pay them off, so that my score would jump up. Bow. So I'm like, okay, great. I'm at a 711, 721. Okay, this is working. Great. Okay. Never quite went past the 721. I'm like, what is the problem now? I'm going to tell you. One of my best friends, she and her husband work in credit and finance solutions. And over the years, you know, you talk, you have these conversations with your friends, you vent, you do whatever you do. And I was venting to her one day, and her husband was there, and I was like, oh my gosh, like, I'm so annoyed with my credit. Like, it's like every time I think I've cracked the code on it, I haven't. You know, it's like, why is it not doing what it needs to do, right? She's like, oh, well, let us look at it. Now, most of us are not interested in our family and our friends having access to our credit reports or our banking information. Like, we're not ready for that. Like, nah, I don't need you all in my business like that. But I was like, you know what? Yeah. Because they had been doing it for so long, and because I had been trying so many things for so long, you know, for me, 7 years of exploring and trying all these different tactics, and I still wasn't getting past 721, was really frustrating. It was just really getting on my nerves. So they looked at my credit report. You want to know what was holding me up from going? And every single thing I've done, all the changes that I had made were necessary and required. And I'm going to go over the list of things I did so you could just write them down. or you can rewatch the video. It's up to you. But I am going to tell you in a list format in a few minutes every single thing I did, so you can know what to do as well. What made the difference and my score finally go well off into the 700s was cleaning up my personal information. I should have made y'all guess in the comments. Cleaning up my personal information is what made the difference. Having inconsistency in all these different addresses on my credit report and telephone numbers and inquiries was holding me back from getting past 700. Once they took all those addresses off and just had me with one address, the address that I've had the longest, and I've never separated, no matter if I move tomorrow, I will not change my address, period. I have one staple address. That's all, right? One phone number. That's it. Don't, when you apply for credit or update, don't add anything. Don't add home numbers, work numbers, don't change nothing. Having one address, one that's longer than 2 years, having one telephone number shows stability and credit worthiness, and it gives creditors confidence in increasing and giving you more and more, because they know they can track you down and they know you're not hiding or lurking or going to run off, because you've been right there in plain sight for years and you like your peace of mind. That's what it tells them. And that's what helps your credit score go through the roof. They got rid of all those extra inquiries here and there. And it's so many things that you get an inquiry for that you don't even know. When you are entertaining and shopping around for different electricity companies, different gas companies, even different water companies, when you're shopping around for people, the people to come out to your house and they tell you they have a finance program, or you're at the doctor's office and you're shopping around different options to pay for whatever cosmetic surgery, dental surgery, all these different things, you have to ask these people, are you pulling my credit? Because they are. And all those inquiries are just racking up on your credit report, and you have no idea. You'll be like, where do these inquiries come from? I haven't even applied for anything. And with the rise in stolen identity, it is very, very important that you have some type of credit monitoring program, whether it's Credit Karma or Identity IQ. I recommend Identity IQ all day, but whatever company that you feel comfortable with. And I really only recommend Identity IQ. Experian had a good product, but it's delayed. It's not in real time. Identity IQ is in real time. They give you the real scores that your creditors are going to see. Credit Karma is always off. They're good for, as far as recommendations, they'll give you a lot of cards for second chance, people who file bankruptcy, people who just have long outstanding bad credit. Like, they have great products there for you. But as far as credit accuracy, no. But it's a start. At least you can have some information if you don't want to pay for a credit monitoring system. But that's what made the difference. That's what cracked the code on me getting past a 720 credit score, is when they cleaned up my personal information. They took all those previous, all that old stuff off of there. They updated, made me have one telephone number that I had forever, got rid of all those other miscellaneous telephone numbers, stuff that had nothing to do with anything. And any inquiries that I didn't know of, had no knowledge of, did not approve, got that off of there. Bow. Next thing you know. So let's go over what it took for me to get over a 720 credit score and how much time it took. Let me see real quick if we're still on.
Speech on. Selfie zoom. Stop recording. Face near left edge. Centered.
Okay.
Face centered. Speech off.
Okay, guys. So step number 1. Know what your credit score is. That means actually pull your credit. That's step number 1. So if you don't want to pay, you can go to annualcreditreport.com. You can start with creditkarma.com. Experian.com offers a free trial. I think it's like for 7 days. which is you just need to remember to cancel it before they charge you. And it used to be $1. They had another one where you could try it for $1, and then you could see all your scores from all bureaus plus your reports, and you could go on and pull them down. Identity IQ is excellent. The product they have is $29.99 a month. You get your 3 scores and you get your reports in real time, and you can check it every single month as often as you like. And they have tools on there to help you learn how to manage your credit, maintain your credit, dispute items. That really educates you on your credit. Okay, so number 1, know what your credit score is. Okay, so find out, log online. They have apps now on your phone. You can access your credit scores and report within seconds. Okay, number 2, get a financial advisor. It is absolutely worth it, whether you're in a relationship, whether you're fresh from high school, you're a college student. Get a credit advisor. If you don't have one, and you don't know where to get one, there's a company called Next Level MGT 101. I'll have the information in the description box below, but you can go to the website right now, nextlevelmgt101.com. And get started today. They'll pull your credit. They'll go over your credit with you. They'll let you know what you have on there, how many inquiries, what the issues are, and they'll help you develop a strategy together to get your credit together. But definitely get a credit advisor. If you want to email me, vilifewithkelly@gmail.com, I can have a consultation with you, and I can also give you telephone numbers for your city and state of preferred credit advisors, okay, that you can definitely get results and start today. Okay, guys, so that's another thing to do. Step number 2, get a credit advisor, right? Okay, number 3, if you say you want to do this on your own, you don't have credit, or the bad credit that you have is super old, it's 5 to 7 years old, and you're just like, hey, my stuff is old and I just need to get started with some positive credit reporting, then you should be on creditkarma.com, and they will give you a list, and they will give you a list of recommendations according to your credit score of companies that will give you a credit card. If you don't want to use random companies, you can go to your own bank and you can ask them to run your credit for a credit card, and it will tell you, boom, yes or no, and then you can ask them for a secured credit card if they say no. But you definitely need to get started rebuilding your credit with positive credit history. If all you have is negative or no history, then nothing's going to happen with your scores because you have nothing going on. So you need to rebuild your credit with positive credit history. Now, some products that I recommend, so please write this down in order to do that. If you're back in school, I don't care if you're 40 or 50 or 60 years old, you can apply for products from Bank Mobile. You can apply for products through Express, the store in the mall. You can apply for products with Aspire credit card, First Premier credit card. Fingerhut is a great way to get your credit started back again. You just buy little frivolous things from them. Your credit score will jump up really quickly with them. Your credit line will jump up really quickly with them. And you just buy one little thing and you pay it off, and you just keep doing that. And next thing you know, you got thousands of dollars in credit with Fingerhut, but it opens you up to get better offerings really quickly because your scores are going up and it's reporting positively that your you know, credit worthiness is great. It's stable, it's consistent, right? So that's the next thing to do, is get some things to build and rebuild positive credit history. Now, let's say you have some credit cards like I had. You still have a few credit cards. Pay them off, pay them down. Call each one of your creditors, find out when is your statement due date versus your payment due date. whatever your statement due date is, your goal should be to have your credit card at 30% or less. So if you have $1,000 available on your credit card, it should never show or report to the credit bureaus more than $300 is charged on that card. So if right now your credit card is at $900 and your credit limit is $1,000 and you're like, I'm not going to be able to pay it $600 off by my statement due date or this month period, pay as much as you can until you get that card down, and you do one card at a time. So if you have 5 cards, all of them are way past 50%, 70% utilization, you're gonna minimize how much you pay the rest of those cards. So maybe you was paying $100 per card. No, if the minimum payments are $30, on the rest of the cards you're gonna pay $30, and then you're gonna take the remaining money. So if you was putting out $500 on credit card payments, whereas you could pay $120 to the rest of those cards total, and then take that other $380 and dump it on one card. That's what your game plan is going forward. So you're gonna, if whatever the lowest credit card limit you have, that's the card you attack first. So if you have a $500 credit limit on a card and it's at $400, you know that you need that card to be under $150. So you're gonna lower the amount you pay on everybody else and take that extra money and get that first card under $150. Once you get that first card under $150, then you go to the next card. If the next card limit is $1,000, then you take all that extra money, you keep that first card under $150, then you take the extra money and you put it on the next card until you get that card under $300. That's your game plan, that's your focus. So you need to start picking up ways of extra income, whether that means you pick up an extra shift and you dedicate that extra shift money to your credit card payments, or whether you start landscaping. It's a perfect time to start cutting grass, raking leaves, cutting hedges, trimming trees, washing cars. Mobile detailing business right now is hot like fire, you would not believe. And I can definitely help you if you're looking for quick ways to make cash. Watch my video that says what do YouTubers want and what do they need. I list a tons of ways to make quick cash right now. Walking dogs is huge. You will not believe these dog walkers are making $100 an hour walking dogs. There's tons of ways to get it done, and you don't have to be registered with a company to do these things. I can help you create ads and opportunities for yourself, doing very simple things to drive business and get your own business going, cash in your hand, so that you can knock these bills down in seconds. Do not forget, you can call me at 404-549-2570 Monday through Thursday, 7 to 7, or you can email me vilifewithkelly@gmail.com. I will be really thankful to work with you on your financial freedom and moving on to your goals and your dreams. I really love connecting and working with people to help them realize what power they have and what options they have, because it all boils down to a lack of knowledge and resources. And once you align those two, you are unlimited, really and truly. So that's what you're going to do from there. Then you're going to, when you review your credit reports, you're going to clean up your personal information. So you're going to make sure that you have one permanent address there. So that means if you're moving around, get you a P.O. box. Go out today when the post office opens up, you're going to get you a P.O. box, and that's going to be your new address that never changes. You're going to update the credit bureaus, and you're going to make that number, that address, your permanent address, and you're removing everything else. Now, and that means update it everywhere. Your electric company, all of that, you can keep your physical address wherever it is, unless you're a homeowner. But if you're living, renting, and all these different things, you should have a P.O. box, and all your mailing addresses should be P.O. box, and it should be consistent on your credit reports. All your credit reports need to say that same P.O. box address, and you need to have a telephone number. If your cell phone is not a good, reliable source, then get you a landline. They're dirt cheap and they package them with your internet and cable bills, if that's, or just your internet, and keep that landline till the wheels fall off, and make that your permanent number for your credit report. Do not ever change it again. Now, a lot of people have grandparents or parents, right? And you can use your grandparents and your parents' addresses, especially if they've never changed. Then you can literally put that address on your credit report, and it shows you've been over there for 30 years. That will jump your score immediately, and never ever change it. Whatever it is on your credit report, find out, get it off, update it, and don't ever change it again. All right. Next thing, look at those inquiries. If you got thousands of inquiries on here, you have no idea what this mess is, either work with your credit advisor and tell them, hey, I want all those inquiries off, and pay them to do it. If you don't want to pay to get your inquiries off, then you need to utilize the, what is it called? You need to utilize the different links in your Identity IQ account, and it'll show you things you can do and letters you can write in order to get the inquiries removed. And if you guys want me to do a video on how to get inquiries removed, I don't mind to do that video. Just leave the comments below and I'll definitely answer all your questions. Just make sure you leave your comments below. If you don't want to leave a comment, you can just email me at vilifewithkelly@gmail.com, and all of this information is in the description box below. So definitely take care of the inquiries. If you have tons of student loans, I don't care if it's 3, consolidate them. Make them one loan. And if you have all your student loans through the Department of Education, it's not a like, you may be thinking, oh, my credit's not good enough for me to consolidate. That's not how the Department of Education works. It does not have anything to do with your credit score. It's just as simple as applying, and they just consolidate it, and that's that. So don't think, oh, my credit's not strong enough for me to consolidate. Nobody's going to approve me for a consolidation loan. That's incorrect. And if you want me to do a video on consolidations and ways to apply for student loan forgiveness and different options to help you with student loan debt, I will definitely do that as well. Just leave me a comment below. Okay, guys? So consolidate those student loans. If you do not have large purchase history, meaning you have not purchased anything, you've never purchased a vehicle, you've never purchased a home, or you haven't purchased anything of substantial, $5,000 and above, where you show I can handle large sums of money and I can pay it off on time every time, you need to do so. So that doesn't mean get out here, get a loan, run up a check, and then take all day paying it back. No, that means get a loan with the full intention of never spending the money. So if your bank approves you after you've done all these steps that I've already given you, now we're going to look at getting a loan, and your bank say, sure, we'll give you $8,000. You're going to let them give you the $8,000. You're going to deposit the $8,000 in your savings account, and you're going to pull money off of that loan money and pay it back. That's all you're going to do. So you're going to let them give you $8,000. They may tell you you have 12 months interest free to pay them back. Perfect. We're going to divide $8,000 by 12, which is what, guys? 6. It's a little less than $700. So I'm looking at 6, 72, 8, 6 again. Yeah. So it's looking like it's like $660, something like that, $661 a month. So you're going to literally take $661 every single month off that $8,000 and give it right back to them. At the conclusion of 12 months, it's paid in full, 0% interest. Bow. It's reported on your credit report for 12 months that you've been paying on time. And you're paying well above the minimum payment and well before the statement due date. Don't forget that part. Right? And so bow. Next thing you know, you have 750 or possibly even an 800 credit score. But you can't do these things, pick and choose what you want to do. You have to do all of it, guys. And if you know you're not good about doing any of this, then you definitely need to pick a credit advisor, okay? And you need to pay them and be happy about paying them, and make sure that they go over your credit reports with you and they identify what your challenges are, whether that's your personal information, your inquiry, the amount of inquiries you have, the amount of debt you have, versus your available credit, the length of time of your debt, right? Your student loans, whatever the factors are, and then you tell them, I want you to knock out those inquiries on all 3 credit bureaus. This is my goal. Make sure you tell them what is your goal. Is your goal to purchase a home at the end of this? Is your goal to have a better credit score so you can get qualify for better rates? Are you trying to refinance anything property, or go into purchasing investment property? Are you trying to live in a better community? Are you trying to, who knows, whatever you're trying to do, communicate what your goals and what the purpose is of you repairing and learning and building your credit, so that you guys can be on the same page, and so that you don't end up having to repay in 12 months for things you thought that you were paying for in the first place. Because each aspect of your credit is very time consuming, and it's better to do all of it right now so that it all can reflect the same history. See, if you work on the inquiries, as well as the student loan debt, as well as the negative credit items, as well as the positive credit items, right? If you work on all of that on April 1st, next year on April 1st, it shows 12 months of turnaround across the board. Whereas if you work on inquiries and student loan debt on April 1st, and then negative history and positive history on December 1st, well, April 1st, you're looking at your credit score like, dang, it only went up like 30 points. How disappointing. Well, we still got to wait another 6 months or so on the positive and negative history to catch up, because you didn't do everything together. So you have to understand, it's definitely a process, it's definitely a numbers game, and it's definitely a time game. And it's not quick. It didn't take, in some instance, it was an instance for you to tear it up. When you got that credit card and you jacked that credit card up and never paid it, it only took however long it took you to get to these different places and swipe these cards or whatever online purchase. But the creditors, see, even at that point, you still had 30 days, 29 days past the first, whenever that due date came, you still had 29 days to pay these people before it reported negatively to your credit reports, right? But then even after that, they're not going to close your credit card down for 3 to 4 months. Now, I will say this, the worst thing you can do out here is get one of these low credit card, right, limits, and then don't make your very first payment. If you don't make your first and second payments on time, they will shut your credit card down right then and there, and then it will be extremely difficult for you to get cards anymore, because you just got second chance credit cards and did that. And those minimum credit payments are really low. On top of that, they're like $20 and stuff. So why then you don't have $20? You see what I'm saying? So definitely realize it's a process, and you have to stay on top of it, and your banking history affects your credit as well. So if you are a person that has low balances and negative balances all the time, that is affecting your credit as well. And banking history reports to its own credit monitoring. They have their own credit scoring, and they will block you from opening accounts and being able to have certain products available to you. Like you will have a really hard time opening checking accounts, saving accounts, of course, bank credit cards. You'll have a hard time getting loans from your banks. It'll be all kinds of things that you're not eligible to do. You won't be able to write checks at certain places. Some places won't accept your debit card. Like you won't be able to use your debit card at certain gas pumps. Have you ever wondered why it is some places don't accept your card? It's because of your banking history. And it can also be because of what card company you're using too, because some companies, especially companies that are catering to helping you rebuild your history, will not allow you to use your credit card in certain capacities. Like they won't allow you to use it at places like the gas pump, because the gas pump is just going to do an authorization of $1, and as long as they get that $1 authorization, you could go in there and ball out and buy $100 worth of stuff, and your credit card like, no way, we're not gonna let them be able to get $100 stuff at the gas station, and we don't even know if you have $100 available credit. So they won't let you do things like that off top. They won't let you link your credit card to Uber or Lyft, where they're constantly getting authorizations for you to get trips, but they may not clear the purchases for 2, 3, 4 days, or at the end of the day after you've gone 17 different places, and then now they're submitting to Visa $150, and you might not even have a $150 credit limit. So there's tons of embarrassing roadblocks when it comes to improperly managing your credit and your banking accounts. It does affect you in a multitude of ways, and the best thing to do is just invest. Learn as much as you can. Hire great credit professionals that have, great long-term history in the business, that really can help you and educate you on what to do, and then apply the knowledge. Nothing can work if you don't do it. If you don't do it, or if you have a mindset like, I'm not going to do all of that, it doesn't take all of that. If you're in that kind of mindset, then you're not going to reap the rewards. You're not going to get the full benefit, and you can't blame the person because you stopped them from being able to do what they can do for you because you refused to apply the whole program. Whatever you've been doing got you to where you are right now. So you have to be at the point where you're ready to try on somebody else's psychology. You're ready to apply somebody else's proven success and track record. So you have to, in order to get what they're promising. So if you want to get to good credit, excellent credit, outstanding credit, then you have to follow the rules and the process of the professionals that are telling you and showing you exactly how to do that. And don't argue with it, and don't speak against it. If you can't afford it, speak on that. If it's like, wow, I can't afford this right now, can I make a payment plan, or how much do I need to get started, and then I'll give you some more money to start that next piece, right? Stick with what the issue really is. Don't create issues. Just stick with whatever your truth is, and then let's go from there. So I hope this video was really helpful. I have learned a lot. I have had to rebuild my credit at least 3 times in my life. I've had to restart my life at least 3 times. Getting married, marrying someone who's uneducated on credit and who's already filed bankruptcy, that's going to affect you. Getting a divorce is going to affect you. Going back to college full time, and then, which in 2007, 2008, that was when the huge real estate market crash went on. So a lot of us just lost so much, and that's when everyone was losing their 401ks, and it was quite a few scandals and everything. And so, huge loss, right? And then trying to rebuild your confidence again, and the interest rate, even, leaving your money in savings accounts was pointless, because literally you know, they were paying 2 to 4% on whatever you had in your bank accounts to now, and then it'll drop to like 0.01%. So, you know, you weren't getting anything, leaving your money sitting in your bank accounts anymore, you know, after 08. So it's so many things that happen expected and unexpectedly. And if you're not in the right market, if you're a single person, so you don't have the benefit of a spouse's income or a significant other's income, or, you know, where you guys' bills may not have been that much in the first place, right? So you could cover on each other, you know, all those things affect your ability to maintain and have excellent credit. And then if you're not truly, you know, committed to having excellent credit, you won't. If that's like, oh, who cares? You know, if you're cool with having, or if you have it in your mind that that's not something that you can truly have, then you won't have good credit. No matter what somebody like me or Next Level Management or whoever, Miss Patty with Mr. Good Credit does for you, you will continually have terrible credit because you will constantly dwell in the idea that not repaying your debts or paying them whenever you want is acceptable because you want to go out of town, or you want to go to the club, or you want to buy a Louis Vuitton handbag, or whatever the reason is why you want to drop your money on something else other than being responsible and waiting until you have the extra income, or doing things to acquire extra additional income so that you can have that and maintain your credit. You will just consistently keep having it. And if you keep buying things that you didn't budget or plan for just because it's offered to you, then you will keep having bad credit. Because if you have a Mercedes and you don't need a Range Rover, but you happen to go to Mercedes to get an oil change, and they tell you you can actually go on and get this Range Rover today, and your credit, you know, is good enough to get that, and you may be almost finished paying for your truck note may only be $400, whereas the Range is $700, and you're like, yeah, and you just jump out there and get the Range. Well, you didn't realize when you got the Range that now you're paying more for each time you fill up your gas tank. Your oil change is significantly, so the maintenance on the vehicle is significantly more. So it's so many things about that purchase that you've acquired now, and you didn't budget, you wasn't expecting to, but now, you know, extra $500 a month is, or even more depending on your commute and your lifestyle, right, is coming out of your pocketbook. So these are things to consider. These are things that I did to get my credit score over 750, and I'm definitely gonna do another video on ways to save money when it's really hard for you to do it. I have some great tips on ways to save money when it's just super hard for you to do it, and whether that means that you're a single person, you have really hard time disciplining yourself, like you're always, if you leave your house, you're spending money and buying stuff and you can't seem to not impulse buy, you just have emergencies, whatever the reason is, it's really, really hard for you to save money. I have some great suggestions on that. So be looking for that video next. Have an amazingly blessed week ahead, and I will see you guys very soon. Okay, where am I, guys? Because I've gotten lost. Oh my gosh, I probably dwindled off. I hope I didn't.
Speech on. Face near left. Stop recording video. Button.